How to ace life in 3, 2, 1. This video is all about the 6 different areas of focus that are required to make your life ace. And yes, that is a very cheesy title, but if you stick around, you'll understand why. I'm Duncan from Mind Affinity. I'm a hypnotherapist and psychotherapist, and I specialize in spending my time helping people who use the amazing power of their own mind to hold themselves back and trip themselves up, and instead turn that into something that they can embrace and use to push themselves forward instead. Man is condemned to be free. That's a quote from Jean-Paul Sartre, and anyone who knows me may think that it's a bit weird for me to choose that quote because I'm a very positive person and I talk a lot about positive language, so to be condemned to be free sounds like an odd choice of quote for me. See, I like to imagine Sartre sat there in some Parisian cafe with a cigarette on the go and half a pint of beer, staring at it, looking at it and thinking that it's half empty, and thinking to himself, oh, how has my life come to this? And then coming to that realization. The realization that every single choice and decision that he has made along the way is ultimately his choice. Because if we have free will, then we are absolutely responsible for every decision that we ever make. No wonder he was addicted to amphetamines. Anyway, my point is, you could look at that and say, yeah, wow, absolutely, we're responsible for everything and every bad decision, bad choice that we've ever made, everything that's ever gone, that we've done wrong, and the results of that. Or you could acknowledge that also that means if we're responsible for every choice that we make, that means that whatever choice we make right now is absolutely within our control. It means that if we look back over all of those choices of the past, not one of them needs to have any bearing on the next decision and next choice that we make right now. And in fact, all of those mistakes and difficulties and challenges and bad choices or potentially bad choices that we've made in the past can all actually become part of what informs us and what helps us learn and develop to make the right choices right now. If we are truly free, then we can make whatever decision we want to right now and going forward in every moment. It's a scary thought, but it's a powerful one. The first time I really kind of became aware of this way of thinking, although not on that level of it at all, I was about 7 years old, I reckon, and we were eating dinner out in the garden. It was a nice day, we must have had a barbecue or something, and my mum brought me some juice in my favourite cup. My favourite cup was really cool because it had a straw that went round the outside. How cool is that? Yeah, I still think it's really cool now, but I thought it was even more cool at the age of 7. But before she gave me that drink, she took a sip. And in my mind, as a little 7-year-old, that absolutely infuriated me. How dare she drink from my cup? That was my cup. Now, looking back on it now and understanding the mind the way that I do now, at that age, there's not an awful lot that you have control over. So having a favourite cup would be one thing that you consider to have some control over, and then to have someone else violate that, obviously is quite upsetting. But I didn't understand any of that at the time. All I knew was that I was angry because she drank from my cup. So in that fit of rage, I threw the cup across the garden and it broke into pieces. And obviously I was very sad. Fast forward, and I'm now in my room. I either got sent there for being naughty or stormed up there in a strop, probably both. And I remember sitting there and thinking, that was my fault. Why did I do that? Why did I act that way? There's plenty more juice in the house. It's not like I was going to run out. It's not like there's a limited number of times that someone can drink from that cup. So I had no right or reason to be angry to that extent. And the only person that hurt was me. I was the one who now no longer had my favourite cup because I had thrown it across the room, the garden. I was the one missing out. And you know what? Kind of felt like I deserved to, because it was my fault that I reacted that way. Now, don't get me wrong, I didn't really think about it any more than that at that age and at that point. But looking back on it now, I realised that that was a really pivotal and important moment for me in learning and realising that I am absolutely responsible for my actions. And that's what this is about. That's what this whole video is about. It's about how you can take that responsibility and what that really means and what really matters. And so I've broken it down into a really simple anagram, ACE. A, C, and E. The 3, the 2, and the 1 things that really matter if you want your life to be ACE. So the A stands for air. See, in life, I truly believe that we are all responsible for 3 things, and only 3 things, but absolutely responsible for all 3 of those things. The first is our actions. We are absolutely responsible for our actions. I don't think any of you watching are likely to disagree with that. If I decide to go and punch someone in the face, that's my action, my choice to do that. I'm absolutely responsible for it. The second one is your inactions. We are all just as responsible for the stuff we choose to not do as we are for the stuff that we choose to do. For example, you get that parking fine through your door and you get angry at the parking company. Well, yeah. But it's not their fault that you park there. And then you bury it. You bury your head in the sand, you forget about it, you just put it to one side, and then you get another letter through and you need to pay more because you didn't respond within a certain amount of time. And I've heard it time and time again where people will then moan at the parking company for charging them extra. But it was their choice, their inaction, that led to that happening. So if we're responsible for our actions, like parking badly in the first place, or not getting the little parking ticket to put in the car, or whatever it was, then we're also responsible for our inactions, not replying and responding in time. It's absolutely our responsibility and our fault that we're then getting that greater charge in this example. And of course, that's just one example. It implies in all areas of our lives. We absolutely need to take accountability and responsibility for our actions and our inactions. But the third one is the one that takes a little bit longer, a little bit more practice sometimes, but is also just as important, if not more so. And that is our reactions. Actions, inactions, and reactions. The way that we react to other people's actions or inactions, the way that we react and respond to what's going on around us is absolutely our responsibility and our choice. Now, let me be really clear here. What I'm not saying is that we can choose our emotions. We can't choose how to feel at any given time. However you feel in any moment is exactly how you should feel. There is no right or wrong way to feel, but we do still have the capacity to choose how we react to that emotion, how we respond to those feelings. That's the bit that is absolutely within our control. And the more that we focus on our reactions, while accepting those emotions, the more power that gives us, the more ability that gives us to choose our subsequent actions and or inactions. So that's the A of ACE. Actions, inactions, and reactions. That's the 3 things. The 2 things under C. C is all about control. It splits into 2 sections, the stuff you can control and the stuff you can't control. Now, I could draw quotes everywhere from ancient Greek philosophies and Stoicism through to the Bible, through to modern day, I don't know, Instagram influencers probably. And there are quotes all over the place that basically have a different version of saying, learn to focus on the stuff that you can control and accept the stuff that you can't. And it's so true and it's so important. See, a real life example of this, I had a client who came to me for help with confidence, particularly confidence in performing. He was a singer and guitarist, and he wanted to do open mic nights, and he was really, really good in his bedroom, but he fell to pieces as soon as he was in front of a crowd. And one of the key things that made a big difference for him is that he was going onto that stage completely focused on everyone else, on whether the crowd would enjoy it, on whether they would have a good time. But he couldn't control that. Because he was so focused on whether other people would like him, he wasn't paying attention to or focusing as much on what was in his control, which was his actual playing ability, projecting his voice clearly, making sure that he could be heard correctly. The moment that he went back onto that stage, focusing on him and the stuff that he could control, the easier it was for him to accept the stuff that was out of control, and as a result, they enjoyed it more. Just like me right now, I don't care in this moment whether or not you're enjoying this video. I don't care. When I was writing it and planning it and putting the content together and deciding how I was going to deliver it, absolutely, I did that with the idea in mind that I wanted to make it enjoyable for you and beneficial and give value to you. But right now, presenting it, I care about making sure I'm clear and concise, making sure I get the message across, making sure that you can see me properly and that I'm not just spinning around on my chair or disappearing off the screen. Absolutely, those things I can control. What I cannot directly control is whether or not you are actually enjoying this. If I do all of those things, there's a greater chance that you will. It's like if you were going for a promotion at work. You can't control whether you get that promotion. You can control the quality of your work, how diligently you work, how visible that is to the right people, and making sure that you're doing everything you can to get yourself into a position where you get seen and recognised and have that opportunity. But you don't get to make the decision as to whether you actually get that promotion or not. That's in someone else's hands. But if you spend your time focusing on that, that's where anxiety and stress and worry all come from, and you can't control that. So focus on what you can do and what you can control. Make that your priority. And then it becomes much easier to accept the other stuff. And here's the other thing. The more that you focus on what you can control, the more you practice doing that and learn to do more of that, the bigger your circle of influence grows. The more that you're focusing on your stuff, the easier it becomes to influence the stuff that you can't control by focusing on the stuff that you can. And of course, the things that you really, really can control are your actions, your inactions, and your reactions. That's the key. Focus on them. Accept everyone else's actions, inactions, and reactions for what they are, but choose yours. And so that brings us down to the E, to the 1. Now I cheated slightly here, and for this word I've jumped over to the Latin, because if I kept with the English it would have been an S, and ACS just sounds like a furniture company, so I've gone with ACE, because that makes a word and it sounds cool. You'll forgive me for cheating though, right? I'm sure you will. So E is for ego, self. It's Latin for self. And this is the number one thing for a reason, because it is the most important. Yes, it's absolutely vital that you embrace and take control of, take charge of and responsibility for your actions, inactions, and reactions. Learn to focus on that and control that and accept the stuff that you can't control. But none of that matters if you don't put yourself first. Look after yourself before you worry about other people. Like, I do what I do. I run a business where I get to spend my life helping people. I do that because I genuinely love and get a buzz from helping people. That's why I'm recording this video right now. I hope that it's helpful to you. I love what I do, and I love it because I get to spend my time helping people. But, and this is a really important but, when I first started my business, that's all I wanted to do. And it kind of felt like I could either do that or be rich and successful. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not interested in being rich, but I am interested in having a successful business that sustains itself. I am interested in earning money because the more I earn, the better I do, the more successful I am, the more people I can help, the more power I have to help even more people. I didn't get that to begin with. And I was all about helping other people and felt like if I was focusing on me, then that was selfish. But it's not. Not at all. Because by looking after myself, that puts me in a stronger position to be able to help more other people. It's really, really important. It's like the air stewardesses say. When a mask drops from above your head, you put on your own mask before helping anyone else. Why? Because you can't help someone else if you can't breathe. Look after yourself first. Even if you take nothing else from this video, do that, please. Look after yourself. It's important. So, in summary, that's how you can have an ace life. Focus on your actions, your inactions, and your reactions. Recognize that that's what you have control over and focus on that control and accept the stuff that you can't control. But first and foremost, before any of that, look after yourself and put yourself first. I've been Duncan Price. Thank you for watching.